Social Security may not provide enough for you to survive on, and 55% of parents go into debt for kids. Today, I read an article on Yahoo Finance, put out by CNN, and written by Tammy Lubby, titled, "Social Security Isn't Keeping Up with Inflation. That could weaken Biden's support among some seniors." The author of this article referenced the Senior Citizens League, which is a nonpartisan public education and advocacy group who said inflation is forcing more senior citizens to spend their emergency savings, carry debt on credit cards, or apply for assistance programs. I'm going to stop right here and share my initial thoughts. It saddens me that people who often worked very hard during their lifetime and tried to be good citizens are now in a situation where they may need to apply for assistance programs. Imagine how that would impact your self-worth. There are a lot of good people who were not sophisticated investors. They just wanted to raise their children and do their best to be good citizens in their communities. Now, some have no choice but to go into debt or apply for assistance programs. It is really a sad state of affairs for many retired people here in America. I know there is going to be someone in the comment section below who is going to say this is their own fault. They should have invested money during some of the amazing bull runs in the market during their lifetime, and they wouldn't be in this situation. Some people put their families first and tried to do whatever possible to raise their kids right and still have money to donate to their church. Some were probably thinking more about others than themselves. I remember years ago talking to an older gentleman who told me it was hard to put money away for retirement because the kids always needed a new pair of shoes, or the lawnmower needed to be repaired, or the car had to be replaced. He said it was just hard to stay afloat financially during much of his life. During our conversation, he was just trying to figure out how to pay for a new weed whacker because his previous model broke and was not worth repairing. What I am describing is the reality for many people here in America. Some individuals never put money aside for retirement, and now they are in a tough spot because of inflation. To my point, the author of this article went on to say, inflation has afflicted Americans of every age, and senior citizens are often in a more difficult predicament because many live off fixed incomes. Many depend heavily on Social Security. In fact, 42% of elderly women and 37% of elderly men rely on the monthly payments for at least half their income, according to the Social Security Administration. Well, my friends, depending on how you look at this, it could be good news or bad news. It is good news that these people have other sources of income beyond Social Security, but what about all of the other people? We are potentially talking about a high percentage of people who only have Social Security to rely on. In my opinion, the small cost of living adjustments provided by Social Security just aren't keeping pace with how much goods and services cost today. The author of this article referenced Shannon Benton, who is the executive director of the Senior Citizens League, who said, "They are suffering, literally suffering. It's worse now because of unrelenting inflation of the past couple of years. It's more profound in that it's every item." She's talking about how inflation is impacting senior citizens. I can't believe she used the word suffering twice. When I think about suffering, the mental image of an animal with a broken leg out in the wild comes to mind. That animal knows he has no way to get food, and he knows he will be easy prey for predators. He knows his time on this earth may be nearing an end. Nature can be beautiful, but nature can also be very cruel for animals in the wild and for senior citizens who are being impacted by inflation and have limited options to deal with it. When you are in no position to go back to work because of mental or physical limitations, and you can't survive on the small amount of money you are bringing in during retirement, what do? It is a sad state of affairs here in America for some people. My heart goes out to all of them. For those of you watching this video, please do whatever you can to help elderly people who are close to you. If you can do something to assist, please do so. Please also don't let this happen to you. Please take appropriate steps now so that you have more options during old age. There were over 1,000 comments beneath this article. I'll share some of them with you. One commenter said, "Not only is inflation rising again, the categories of goods that affect folks day in and day out, like food, rent, utilities, and auto insurance, have rates of inflation far higher than the CPI number politicians like to talk about." Another commenter said, "It is pathetic for seniors trying to survive financially in this difficult environment. Groceries, gas, and meds are unaffordable, not to mention rents, mortgages, and taxes, along with power bills." The next commenter said, "President Clinton cut Social Security without anyone noticing when he implemented the recommendations of the Boskin administration. That changed how they calculate CPI for cost of living adjustments. After decades of lower cost of living adjustments, the average Social Security check today is half what it would have been if Clinton didn't make this reduction." The last comment that I'll share with you came from someone who said, "Of course Social Security is not keeping up with inflation. It was never meant to be a person's only income during retirement. People were and are supposed to earn and save for retirement, and then Social Security will help supplement it." Well, my friends, this is often not happening. However bad the retirement crisis in America is today, it will likely be a lot worse in the future. Young people today often can't buy homes, so they are stuck paying very expensive rent. They have to pay a lot of money for an overpriced new car or an overpriced used car. They are paying more for insurance, food, healthcare, and some have mountains of student loan debt. Many of these younger people are barely surviving paycheck to paycheck. A lot of them have no ability to set aside any meaningful amounts of money for retirement. If you think we have too many people right now relying just on Social Security during retirement, wait and see what it could be like decades from now. I think it may be a sad state of affairs here in America in the future. If you've ever seen the movie Back to the Future 2, you probably remember the alternate timeline where Marty McFly visits Hill Valley when Biff was incredibly wealthy and powerful and society had pretty much collapsed. While wearing a bulletproof vest and holding a shotgun, Principal Strickland told Marty McFly the school burned down 6 years ago. Then, a gang of street thugs drove by in what appeared to be a 1968 or 1969 Buick Skylark with automatic weapons and opened fire on his house. That was supposed to be a Hollywood movie and not a documentary about what life may be like in the future here in America in some areas. I constantly hear about violent crime on the news, and I read about how some students treat school personnel, and it makes me think of the alternate timeline in the Back to the Future 2 movie. I read an article in February of this year where a substitute teacher in his mid-70s was attacked by a student. The teacher was taken to the hospital by an ambulance, but even a month and a half after the incident, the student was not arrested. The teacher suffered a very bad black eye. When I say bad, I mean it was swollen worse than what Rocky had at the end of the movie in 1976. Another teacher in Texas, who was 73 years old, was pushed by a student. He fell to the ground and suffered massive brain bleeding and later passed away. In both of these stories, the men were past the age of 70 and still working. My heart goes out to the man who was attacked and survived, and my heart goes out to the family of the man who is now deceased. These were both horrible situations. I hate to hear about elder abuse. I wish young people had more respect for their elders and truly understood how much wisdom they often possess. It is a sad state of affairs in some parts of America. What do you think about all this? Share your thoughts in the comment section below. I have to wonder if some young people have no respect for their elders because they are being raised by social media such as TikTok, since their parents are busy working to earn money to pay the bills. It's not uncommon for both parents in a household to work because children cost more than ever. It's also not uncommon for some children to only have one parent. I read an article today on foxbusiness.com written by Megan Henney titled, "Raising a Child in the U.S. is Getting Even More Expensive." According to the author, high inflation has made the price of just about everything in the U.S. more expensive, including how much it costs to raise a child. The author went on to reference research published by LendingTree, which revealed the cost of childcare surged nearly 20% between 2016 and 2021. The research also revealed the typical family is spending about $237,482 over the course of 18 years to raise a child, and that is excluding the cost of college. Well, my friends, that is a staggering amount of money. I'm sure some of you will say it doesn't cost that much, and you've done it for far less. Well, I can believe that, but I also know this depends on what part of the country you live in, and it also depends on how healthy your child is growing up. I have a cousin who has a child who has been in and out of the hospital for most of her life, and we are talking about a massive amount of money that has been spent. Even for healthy children, accidents happen. A child can crash his big wheel or green machine and bust out his teeth, or fall down the stairs and break an arm. If you don't know what a green machine is, it was released in 1977 by a company called Marx. It was like a souped up big wheel and it was green. In my opinion, any number of things can happen when you have kids, and then you get to experience waiting in an emergency room for hours to see a doctor, and then you get a massive bill in the mail for what your insurance company didn't cover. I think all parents need to prepare for this type of reality. I worry about parents who aren't around to raise their children because they are so busy working to pay for them. That's the sad reality here in America for many families. Getting back to the article, the LendingTree study showed that about 75% of parents think that having and raising children has been far more expensive than they expected, and 55% have gone into debt in order to pay for child-related expenses. Well, my friends, life can be tough, and unexpected expensive emergencies can happen. In my opinion, people with children should have a well-funded emergency account because you never know when you will need to tap it. Relying on a credit card to cover expensive child-related emergencies is never a good idea. What do you think about all this? Share your thoughts in the comment section below. Please keep in mind that everything in this video is for entertainment purposes only, and nothing in this video is financial advice or advice of any kind. If you need advice, seek advice from a qualified professional in good standing who puts your interests first and foremost. If you enjoyed this video, consider subscribing to the channel. Please also consider sharing this video with your friends. I want to extend a special thanks to everyone who has subscribed to this channel. I want to also thank all of my channel members. Check out some of the great books that I suggest you consider reading in the description below. I've included Amazon affiliate links to these books. As an Amazon associate, I earn from qualifying purchases. Stay healthy and wealthy. I'll see everyone in the next video.